My own family disowned me. But they didn't know I'd come back richer than all of them combined.
Ethan, stop standing there and sit down, my father snapped as relatives filled the dining room. I pulled out a chair. Across the table, my younger brother Ryan leaned back with a confident smile. He looked relaxed, like he already knew how the night would end. My mother sighed. Please don't embarrass us tonight, Ethan. I swallowed. I won't. Ryan smirked at me. Come on, Mom. Ethan worked really hard on this proposal. The way he said it made my stomach tighten. For 3 months, I had worked on a business expansion plan for my father's company. I barely slept while preparing it. I thought maybe this time my father would finally respect me. Grandma Evelyn touched my arm gently. You look tired, sweetheart. I'm fine, Grandma. My father raised his glass. Tonight, Ryan and Ethan will present ideas for the company's future. Let's see which son understands business. Ryan grinned. No pressure, brother. I ignored him and connected my laptop to the screen. The first slide appeared wrong. My chest tightened. The numbers were changed. Important files were missing. What? I whispered. My father frowned. Why are those projections different? I clicked through the presentation faster, panic burning through me. Every page had errors. Ryan shook his head. Ethan, did you seriously not double-check your work? I did check it, I said. Someone changed the files. The room became silent. My uncle laughed. That's his excuse? My father slammed his hand against the table. Enough. I flinched instantly. You spent months on this garbage? He shouted. It wasn't like this before. Ryan leaned forward. Dad, maybe he's overwhelmed. Ethan always struggles under pressure. That's not true, I snapped. Ryan raised both hands. I'm trying to help you. No, you're not. My mother looked at me with disappointment. Why do you always create problems during important moments? Anger burned inside my chest. Because nobody ever listens to me. My father pointed toward the screen. Look at this disaster. You should be ashamed. I worked day and night on this. And still failed, he replied coldly. Ryan sighed. Dad, maybe I should present my proposal instead. Go ahead, my father answered immediately. Ryan stood confidently while I sat frozen in humiliation. He spoke smoothly, charming every person at the table. People nodded, smiled, and praised him after every sentence. Meanwhile, I felt invisible. When Ryan finished, my father clapped proudly. That's the son I can depend on. The words hit harder than any slap. Grandma Evelyn frowned. Richard, don't talk to Ethan like that. My father ignored her. Ryan understands responsibility. Ethan only understands excuses. I looked directly at my brother. He smiled before lowering his eyes. That smile told me everything. He did this. You sabotaged me, I said quietly. Ryan laughed softly. You really want to blame me for your mistakes? I know you changed those files. Ethan, my mother warned, stop acting paranoid. My father stood up angrily. I'm tired of your jealousy toward your brother. I'm not jealous, I said. I'm tired of being treated like I don't matter. You don't deserve this family's trust, he shouted. You'll never own anything in this family. Silence filled the room. Across the table, Ryan leaned back with a satisfied smile while I sat there trying not to break apart. Dad, I didn't steal anything, I said while standing inside his office. My father threw a folder across the desk. Then explain the missing money. I opened the papers with shaking hands. Bank transfers. Signed approvals. My employee password. This is fake, I whispered. Ryan crossed his arms beside the window. I didn't want to believe it either, Ethan. I looked at him. You set me up. He sighed. You always blame everyone else. You're lying. My father slammed his fist against the desk. Enough. Detective Sarah Blake stood near the door. Mr. Carter, the transfers came from Ethan's company account. Because someone hacked it, I argued. She studied me carefully. Do you have proof? No, because I didn't even know this happened until now. Ryan shook his head. Dad trusted you. I stepped toward him angrily. Stop pretending. Ethan, my mother said, please calm down. I stared at her. You think I did this too? She looked away instead of answering. That hurt more than anything. My father pointed toward the door. You embarrassed this family once already. Now you're stealing from us? I would never steal from my own family. You already did. Dad, listen to me for 1 minute. No, he snapped. I'm done listening to excuses. Ryan lowered his voice. Maybe Ethan was desperate. I clenched my fists. Why are you doing this? He shrugged. Maybe because you hate seeing me succeed. Before I could answer, 2 security guards entered the office. My chest tightened. My father didn't even look at me. Remove him from this building. Dad. And from my house, he added coldly. He's no longer my son. My mother gasped but stayed silent. I stared at her with tears burning my eyes. Mom? She whispered, please don't make this harder. The guards grabbed my arms. Don't touch me, I snapped. Rain hammered against the windows as they dragged me through the mansion. Servants avoided eye contact while relatives whispered behind me. Ryan followed us outside. You should have accepted being second place, he said quietly. I stepped toward him. One day the truth will destroy you. He smiled. Nobody will ever choose you over me. The gates closed behind me. I stood alone in the storm with one backpack and nowhere to go. For hours, I walked through wet streets. Then it rang. Grandma? I answered weakly. Ethan, where are you? Does it matter anymore? Don't say that, she replied sharply. You survived this, understand me? They threw me away. No, she said. They failed you. I wiped my face. I don't know what to do. I transferred some money into your account. It's not much, but it will help. You shouldn't have done that. I should have protected you sooner. Thank you, I whispered. Promise me something. What? Don't let their cruelty turn you cruel too. After the call ended, I entered a small diner near the highway. The smell of coffee and fried food filled the room. An older man behind the counter studied me carefully. You look terrible, kid. Rough night. You got family nearby? I laughed bitterly. Not anymore. He placed a cup of coffee in front of me. Name's Marcus Hale. I own the garage next door. I'm Ethan. You need work? I looked up slowly. You'd hire someone you just met? Marcus shrugged. Sometimes people need one chance. Nobody in my family had ever said that to me before. Later that night, I stood across the street from the Carter mansion staring at the glowing windows. Rain dripped down my face as I whispered, one day, they'll regret this. The apartment above Marcus's garage was small, cold, and noisy, but it was mine. Wake up, kid, Marcus shouted downstairs. Engines don't fix themselves. I groaned and checked the time. It's 6 a.m. That's called sleeping in. I dragged myself downstairs while rubbing my sore shoulders. Marcus tossed me a wrench. Truck outside needs brake pads. You ever say good morning? That was my version of it. Despite everything, I laughed quietly. Weeks passed like that. Work. Sweat. Pain. Sleep. My hands became rough and covered in cuts. One afternoon, Marcus noticed me hiding my bleeding palm. You need gloves, he said. I'm fine. No, he replied firmly. You're pretending to be fine. I stayed silent. He leaned against the counter. Pain can destroy a man, Ethan. Or it can rebuild him stronger. Easy for you to say. You think I was born owning this garage? I looked at him. Marcus sighed. I lost my house after my wife died. I drank for 2 years straight before I rebuilt my life. I frowned. Why are you telling me that? Because you keep acting like your life ended. Maybe he was right. That night, I scrolled through business articles online. Carter Industries stocks fall after failed expansion. Another headline appeared seconds later. Ryan Carter faces criticism over company losses. I stared at the screen quietly. Marcus walked by. Family business? Something like that. You miss them? I thought about my father's voice. My mother's silence. Ryan's smile. No, I lied. Marcus didn't argue. A few nights later, rain poured outside while I locked the garage. A black luxury car rolled into the parking lot before stopping suddenly. The driver's window lowered. Please tell me you're still open, a woman said. Depends what's wrong. My engine died 3 blocks away. I grabbed my tools. Popped the hood. She stepped out wearing a dark coat and heels completely unsuited for rain. Rough night? I asked. She smiled faintly. You could say that. I inspected the engine quickly. Battery connection came loose. That's it? Yeah. You're lucky. She crossed her arms while watching me work. You don't talk like a mechanic. I smirked slightly. And you don't talk like someone driving at midnight for fun. Fair point. 10 minutes later, the engine started again. There, I said. Good as new. She smiled. I'm Olivia Bennett. Ethan. Thank you, Ethan. I shrugged. It's nothing. No, she replied. Most people would have ignored me. I closed the hood carefully. She studied me for a moment. You seem smarter than this place. People usually underestimate me. I don't. Those 3 words hit harder than they should have. Olivia handed me a business card. I invest in real estate. If you ever want something better than fixing engines, call me. I looked down at the card. You barely know me. Sometimes instinct matters more than history, she said before getting back inside the car. As she drove away, Marcus appeared behind me grinning. She likes you. Stop. I'm serious. That woman looked at you differently. I rolled my eyes, but part of me smiled. Later that night, my phone buzzed unexpectedly. Unknown number. I answered carefully. Hello? Ethan, this is Detective Sarah Blake. My chest tightened instantly. Why are you calling me? I reviewed your case again. And? She lowered her voice. I think someone manipulated evidence against you. For the first time in months, my heart started beating with something other than pain. I met Detective Sarah Blake inside a quiet coffee shop before sunrise. She slid a folder across the table. I shouldn't even be showing you this. I opened it carefully. What am I looking at? Transfer records, she replied. Some timestamps were altered. My pulse quickened. Meaning? Meaning someone inside Carter Industries manipulated evidence against you. I leaned back slowly. Ryan. I can't prove that yet. But you believe it. Sarah nodded carefully. Your brother gained the most after you disappeared. Anger burned through my chest instantly. I'm going to expose him. Don't do something stupid, she warned. He ruined my life. And if you attack him without proof, your father will protect him again. I hated that she was right. Back at the garage, Marcus noticed my expression immediately. You look dangerous, he said. Ryan framed me. Marcus stayed quiet. I finally know the truth. No, he corrected. You suspect the truth. I slammed a wrench onto the counter. What difference does it make? The difference, he replied calmly, is whether anger controls you. He deserves to lose everything. Marcus stepped closer. Then beat him by building something better. I looked away. Hatred makes people sloppy, he continued. You want revenge? Become successful enough that your name alone hurts his pride. Later that evening, Olivia visited the garage unexpectedly. You busy? She asked. Always. She smiled slightly. I have a property project falling apart downtown. And I need someone smart enough to fix it. I frowned. Why me? Because every time I talk to you, you notice problems before anyone else. I fix engines. You understand systems, she replied. Buildings aren't that different. I hesitated. Olivia crossed her arms. Unless you're scared. That made me laugh softly. Fine. I'll help. The property looked terrible during my first visit. Broken elevators. Angry tenants. Unpaid workers. This place is bleeding money, I muttered. Olivia nodded. That's why I bought it cheap. For weeks, I worked nonstop. I negotiated with contractors during the day and studied financial reports at night. One worker complained, nobody listens to us. I do, I answered immediately. Tell me what's wrong. Slowly, things improved. Tenants stopped leaving. Repairs finished ahead of schedule. Profits finally started rising. One afternoon, Olivia handed me coffee while we reviewed numbers. You know this project is making money because of you, right? I shrugged awkwardly. I just solve problems. That's what leadership is. Nobody had ever called me a leader before. Meanwhile, articles about Carter Industries kept appearing online. Carter stocks fall again after failed investment. Ryan's face stared back at me from every headline. Marcus laughed while reading one article. Your brother spends money like a drunk millionaire. He thinks Dad will always protect him. Will he? I remembered my father defending Ryan no matter what happened. Probably. A week later, Grandma Evelyn visited the property site quietly. Her eyes widened when she saw me giving instructions to workers. You built all this? She asked softly. Not alone. She touched my face gently. You look stronger. I had to become stronger. Tears filled her eyes suddenly. I'm sorry nobody protected you. It's not your fault, Grandma. She looked around proudly. Your father never saw your worth. I swallowed hard. Before leaving, she hugged me tightly and whispered, success is the loudest revenge. That night, Olivia rushed into my office holding her phone. You need to see this. I looked at the screen. Ryan had been photographed leaving a meeting with angry investors. But that wasn't the important part. What am I missing? I asked. Olivia pointed lower. My name appeared in the article beside the successful property project. Ryan Carter seen during financial crisis while former heir Ethan Carter rises in real estate. I stared silently. Then Olivia smiled slightly. Looks like your brother finally noticed you're winning. 3 years changed everything. I no longer woke up above Marcus's garage wondering how to survive another day. Now I woke up inside a luxury apartment overlooking the city skyline. Olivia walked into the kitchen holding coffee. You're staring out the window again. I still can't believe this is my life. She handed me a cup. You earned it. We had built Bennett Carter Properties from almost nothing. One successful project became 3. 3 became 10. People finally respected my ideas. One morning, Olivia tossed a magazine onto my desk. I looked down at the headline. Ethan Carter, the city's youngest self-made investor. I laughed bitterly. Self-made. You hate that word? My father once told me I'd never survive without the Carter family. Olivia sat beside me quietly. And now? I looked around my office. Now they survive without me. Marcus visited later that afternoon carrying donuts. You rich people still eat normal food, he joked. Only when you bring it. He grinned proudly while looking around the office. Not bad for the kid sleeping above my garage. I still owe you. No, he replied. You just listened when life tried teaching you. Meanwhile, Carter Industries kept collapsing publicly. Every week brought another disaster. Failed investments. Lost partnerships. Rumors about Ryan gambling company money. One evening, Olivia entered my office holding her tablet. Your brother lost another casino lawsuit. I rubbed my forehead. Ryan never learned consequences. He learned your father would always protect him. That part hurt because it was true. A month later, I attended a business event downtown. The second I entered the ballroom, whispers spread around me. That's Ethan Carter. The son who got disowned? He's worth millions now. For years, I dreamed about proving everyone wrong. But standing there didn't feel satisfying. It just felt lonely. Olivia noticed my expression. What's wrong? I thought success would heal everything. And it doesn't. She squeezed my hand gently. Some wounds heal slower. Later that night, my phone rang unexpectedly. Unknown number. I answered carefully. Hello? Silence filled the line before I heard my mother crying softly. Ethan? My chest tightened instantly. Mom? I know I shouldn't call. I stayed quiet. We're in trouble, she whispered. What happened? Your father borrowed money to cover company losses. Ryan promised things would improve, but now investors are leaving. I closed my eyes slowly. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't know who else to call. Part of me wanted to hang up immediately. Another part still sounded like the little boy begging for his mother's love. You chose Ryan, I said quietly. I know. You watched them throw me away. Her crying became heavier. I was weak. No, I replied painfully. You were silent. Please help us. I leaned against the window, staring at city lights below. For years, I dreamed about hearing those words. But now they felt empty. I can't come back, I whispered. Ethan. I spent years rebuilding myself after all of you destroyed me. My mother cried harder. I miss my son. The words almost broke me. But then I remembered standing alone outside the mansion in the rain while nobody defended me. You lost your son the day you stayed silent, I answered before ending the call. I stood there breathing heavily. Olivia walked over carefully. Was it your family? Yeah. What are you feeling? I thought for a long moment. Then I realized something shocking. I don't need them anymore. For the first time in my life, it was true. A week later, Olivia drove me outside the city to inspect a new property. When the gates opened, I froze completely. An unfinished mansion stood on the hill overlooking the entire valley. Olivia smiled. What do you think? I stepped out of the car slowly. The massive stone entrance. The endless windows. The towering balconies. It was exactly the kind of house my father once claimed I would never own. I stared at it silently while memories crashed through my mind. Then I smiled quietly and whispered, I'm buying it. Ryan's collapse started quietly. Then everything exploded at once. I sat inside my office watching another news report about Carter Industries. Sources claim company assets were secretly sold overseas, the reporter said. Olivia crossed her arms beside me. Your brother's getting desperate. He always thought consequences were optional. My phone buzzed before she could answer. Detective Sarah Blake. I picked up immediately. Tell me you found something. I did, she replied. Meet me now. An hour later, Sarah placed a flash drive on the table between us. What's on it? I asked. Security footage from years ago. My chest tightened. Ryan accessed your office the night before those fake transfers appeared. I stared at her silently. There's more, she continued. His personal accountant admitted Ryan moved money through your company account. So it's finally proven. Sarah nodded slowly. You were framed. For years, I imagined hearing those words. Instead of relief, I mostly felt tired. What happens now? I asked quietly. Once this becomes public, your family company is finished. Back at home, Olivia found me staring out the window. You okay? I should feel happy. But you don't. I shook my head slowly. I spent my whole life wanting my family to love me. Now I'm watching them destroy themselves. Olivia walked closer. That little boy inside you still wants their approval. Maybe. And maybe he deserves peace more than revenge. The next morning, every major news channel exploded with scandal. Carter Industries accused of fraud and financial corruption. Ryan Carter linked to evidence manipulation. I watched investors swarm outside my father's office building. Reporters shouted questions while cameras flashed non-stop. Then another video appeared online. My father yelling at reporters. "We will handle this internally." One reporter shouted back, "Did your son frame Ethan Carter?" My father looked completely broken for the first time in his life. Hours later, my mother called me crying. "Ethan, everything's collapsing." I closed my eyes painfully. "Where's Ryan?" "He locked himself inside your father's office." That night, another video leaked online. Ryan screaming at my parents during an argument. "This isn't my fault," he yelled. My father shouted back, "You stole from this family." Ryan laughed bitterly. "You only care because you finally look stupid." My mother cried. "Ryan, please stop. You made me this way," he snapped. "You treated me like I could do anything." My father's voice cracked with rage. "You framed your own brother." Ryan slammed something against the wall. "Because you always needed a perfect son." I stopped the video halfway through. Olivia touched my shoulder gently. "You don't need to watch anymore." But I can't stop. "Why?" I stared down at my hands. "Because part of me still wants my father to choose me." The words sounded pathetic even to me. Olivia knelt beside my chair. "Listen to me carefully. You already won." "Have I?" "You built a life without becoming cruel like them." I looked at her quietly. "You survived," she whispered. 3 days later, Marcus burst into my office holding his phone. "Kid, your brother disappeared." I stood instantly. "What?" He emptied the remaining company accounts and vanished. My chest tightened. Marcus shook his head slowly. "Your parents are ruined." I looked out the window toward the city skyline. For years, Ryan destroyed everyone around him while my family protected him blindly. Now there was nothing left to protect. And somewhere far away, my brother had abandoned the same parents who once abandoned me. Moving into the mansion should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt quiet. I stood beside the massive living room windows while rain crashed against the glass outside. Olivia wrapped her arms around me gently. "You've barely smiled all day. I spent years dreaming about this house. And now? I thought it would heal something." She rested her head against my shoulder. "Maybe homes don't heal people. Maybe people heal people." Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. It was security. "Mr. Carter," the guard said nervously, "there are 2 people outside the gates asking for you." "Who?" He hesitated. "Your parents." My chest tightened instantly. Olivia looked at me carefully. "You don't have to see them." But part of me needed to. Rain soaked my coat as I walked toward the gates. Then I saw them. My mother looked exhausted, wearing old clothes and shaking from the cold. My father looked even worse. The proud man who once controlled entire rooms couldn't even meet my eyes anymore. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then my mother started crying. "Ethan," she whispered painfully. I stared at them silently. My father swallowed hard. "You built all this?" "Yes." The irony hung heavily between us. This mansion was everything they once claimed I would never have. My mother wiped tears from her face. "Ryan left us." I stayed quiet. "He took everything," she continued. "The money, the remaining accounts, all of it." My father's voice sounded hollow. "We lost the company." A strange pain twisted inside me. Not satisfaction. Not happiness. Just exhaustion. My mother stepped closer carefully. "We should have listened to you." I looked at my father. "You never even gave me a chance." His eyes finally met mine. "I know." Hearing those words from him felt unreal. "We wanted Ryan to be perfect so badly," my mother whispered. "We ignored the truth." "You didn't ignore it," I replied quietly. "You chose him anyway." Neither of them argued. Rain dripped from my father's gray hair while he stood there silently. Then something happened that shocked me. My father lowered his head. "I failed you, Ethan." The words hit me harder than any insult ever had. "I blamed you because it was easier than admitting Ryan was weak." I stared at him speechlessly. My father's voice trembled slightly. "I'm sorry." For years, I imagined this exact moment. But now that it finally happened, the apology felt strangely empty. It couldn't erase the nights I spent alone. It couldn't erase the humiliation. It couldn't erase being thrown away like garbage. My mother cried harder. "Please don't hate us forever." I closed my eyes briefly. Then I stepped aside slowly. "Come inside before you both get sick." Dinner felt painfully awkward. Nobody knew how to act around each other anymore. Olivia tried easing the tension gently. The house is still unfinished upstairs. My mother looked around quietly. It's beautiful. My father barely touched his food. Finally, he spoke. You built this without us. Yes. He nodded slowly like the truth physically hurt him. During dinner, my mother suddenly froze while staring at a wall near the staircase. Family photos hung there beside newer pictures with Olivia and Marcus. But something was missing from the older photos. Me. In almost every childhood picture, Ryan stood beside my parents while I remained absent. My mother covered her mouth shakily. Oh God. I looked toward the wall. She started crying again. We really erased you. Nobody answered. Because she was right. My father stared at the photo silently for a long moment before speaking again. When did we become people capable of this? I didn't know how to answer that. The room felt heavy with years of regret and silence. Finally, my father looked around the mansion one last time before whispering brokenly, we destroyed our own family. Having my parents nearby felt stranger than I expected. Some mornings, I saw my mother helping Olivia in the kitchen while my father quietly read newspapers on the balcony. It almost looked normal. But every time I looked at them, old memories returned immediately. The insults. The comparisons. The silence when I begged to be heard. One evening, Grandma Evelyn sat beside me outside the mansion garden. You look troubled, she said softly. I don't know how to forgive them. She nodded slowly. Because forgiveness is harder than anger. I still remember everything they did. And you always will, she replied. Forgiveness does not erase pain, Ethan. It only stops pain from controlling your future. I stared down quietly. What if I can't let it go? Grandma squeezed my hand gently. Then let it go slowly. A few days later, my father walked into the living room holding his phone with shaking hands. They found Ryan, he whispered. My mother stood instantly. Where? Overseas. Fraud charges. Silence filled the room. My mother collapsed onto the couch crying. How did everything become this terrible? I felt almost nothing. That scared me more than anger would have. Later that night, we sat together around the dining table in painful silence. Finally, my mother whispered, Do you hate us? I looked at both of them carefully. Then years of buried pain finally surfaced. You didn't just hurt me, I said quietly. You destroyed the way I saw myself. My mother started crying immediately. When Dad compared me to Ryan every day, I believed I was worthless. My father lowered his head silently. When Mom ignored me, I thought I deserved it. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. You treated me like a problem inside my own home. My voice cracked despite trying to stay calm. I spent years wondering why my family couldn't love me. My father suddenly covered his face with his hands. At first, I thought he was angry. Then I realized he was crying. I had never seen my father cry before. Not once in my entire life. I failed you, he whispered brokenly. I failed both my sons. My anger slowly weakened watching him fall apart. Not because the pain disappeared. But because revenge suddenly felt meaningless. Olivia sat beside me quietly while my mother continued apologizing through tears. Finally, I took a deep breath. I can't pretend the past never happened. Nobody spoke. But I don't want to live angry forever either. Grandma Evelyn smiled softly from across the room. For years, I survived by proving everyone wrong. Now I understood something even more important. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had already won the moment I survived everything they did to me. The mansion was filled with voices that once felt impossible in my life. Grandma Evelyn had insisted on a family gathering, and somehow everyone came. I stood on the balcony alone for a moment, listening to laughter echo from inside. Olivia joined me quietly. You okay? I think so, I said. It just feels strange. Strange how? Like none of this was supposed to happen. She smiled softly. But it did. Before I could answer, my father's voice came from inside. Ethan, can you come down? I exhaled slowly and walked back into the room. Everyone was sitting together. Not arguing. Not lying. Just sitting. That alone felt unreal. My father stood up slowly. I want to say something. No one interrupted him. I failed as a father, he said firmly. I chose the wrong son to believe in. I hurt Ethan more than I ever understood. Silence filled the room. My mother wiped her eyes. I spent years watching things happen and saying nothing. Ethan, you didn't deserve that. Olivia helped him become the man I should have supported. Olivia looked down slightly. He did that himself. I felt something tighten in my chest hearing that. Grandma Evelyn smiled gently. He survived everything you all ignored. My father looked at me directly. I don't expect forgiveness. I nodded slowly. I know. The honesty between us felt heavier than any apology. I stepped closer to the glass doors and looked out over the city. Everything I had now came from moments when I had nothing. From nights I thought I wouldn't survive. From people who once believed I would fail. Olivia stood beside me again. What are you thinking? I used to think this mansion would prove something. And now? I looked at her. Now I know I don't need it to prove anything. She smiled. That sounds like you. Behind us, my parents spoke quietly for the first time without anger. My father and mother weren't perfect. But they were trying. Maybe that was enough for now. I stepped onto the balcony again as the sun began to rise over the city. Golden light spread across everything I had built. Olivia leaned against me softly. They said I'd never own this mansion, I whispered. She looked at me. But they never understood the man I would become to build it.